You've just signed the contract.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
You've got your apparent sign-up bonus of 3 million rubles.
Oh my God.
With this, you decide to get some equipment to help your chances of survival in the war zone. So, why do Russians decide to buy a plate carrier, which unironically is one of the most important pieces of equipment, for $25? Well, today we'll be looking at the recent phenomenon that is the Yakeda plate carriers appearing on some Russian soldiers from 2022 to 2025, and watch until the end of the video for our giveaway. So, why did they buy them? Because it's cheap. Thank you very much for watching. No, but actually, first of all, let's have a look at the state of plate carriers and body armors in 2022 and beyond. At the start of the conflict, Russia needed an increase in the amount of domestic body armors that were produced. They just didn't have the numbers of 6B45s that were required. The ones they had on hand will be prioritized to go to frontline troops. Hence, production of armors like the NPO-SM model monolith, which was originally produced in the 2010s for Russian FSB and MVD law enforcement units. Production was ramped up and given a placeholder for certain units. Now, what if those units didn't even get those?
Like, I'm feeling a little irked, or at least like irked adjacent, and then these guys bring in their bad vibes? Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
Mobilized reservists, territorial defense battalions, LPR, DPR, and recently conscripted soldiers, which were rapidly formed and deployed, often lacked basic body armor and supply shortages, to which they were forced to turn to the most easily and readily available plate carrier manufacturer in Russia, Yakeda. What happens when glorious supply chain of motherland doesn't reach those units, even the most basic plate carriers? Well, troops are then forced to buy their own, or be left with a rusty Mosin in a 4-cell pouch. Just kidding. Well, sometimes. The supposed 3 million ruble sign-on bonus is also seen essentially as a way of allowing soldiers to get all the supplies they needed before they go. However, there definitely has been a lot of mixed feelings regarding the sign-up bonus, as sometimes it can be delayed until the person is actually in service or even later than that. This makes the purchasing of private equipment a hard task for those that may not have the savings or cold hard cash to pay for their own equipment. Russia has faced a chronic shortage of high quality body armors due to failed contracts, production bottlenecks, and a lack of pure materials for modern armor fabrics like aramid. Their domestic aramid fiber production is far below that of European or Asian standards. The single Russian producer cannot meet wartime demands, and sanctions block imports of Western materials needed for the supply. Moving to a wartime economy can, however, change this. From dire situations like this, troops are then forced to get to the worst option. That is, getting the Russian equivalent of Amazon, known as Ozone, and buying a Yakeda plate carrier. Now, lots of people have little to no knowledge of what is deemed as good and what is deemed as not good in the field of tactical gear. Not only that, but the supply of these Yakeda plate carriers can also be from fundraising or charitable organisation donating equipment to the troops. Now, personally, from experience, I wouldn't trust a commercially made $25 plate carrier to be the thing that protects my life, but to each their own. I've seen things like the Osprey Mark IV that go as low as £20 here in the UK, and from user reviews, I trust things like that as if they were made to military grade specification, so it's not purely based on the price. Now, everyone that served in the military knows that military grade is just another way of saying a bod can't destroy it as easily as something that isn't specifically designed for the military. However, experiences may vary, as I've personally seen the statement disproven multiple times. But on paper, the Yakeda plate carrier doesn't seem too bad. It's a 1000D nylon vest, essentially a non-branded Cordura, with laser-cut designs, a good range of camo patterns to go with, integrated placard, quad release on some of them, comfortable cummerband with magazine attachments, and fit most types of SAPI plates. So what's the issue, you're asking? Well, the reviews are mixed, to say the least. You don't know if the people buying them and leaving reviews are using them in the conflict area, for airsofting, or for any other reason. The reviews of this range from garbage tier trash to actually very good for the price. Thing is, I don't consider very good for the price to be an actual good thing. Body armor becomes an everyday wear item in conflict areas, and the last thing you need is for it to be a liability. If you cheap out on something you're using every day, it's going to go wrong or break. Same story with, say, cheap Chinese boots. It's cheap for a reason. I wouldn't want to throw my body armour in the back of a vehicle just for the buckle to break on impact and become unserviceable. Regular reports of fraying from stitching, laser cut fasteners sagging under weight and not reforming, plastic quad release being cheaply made. All this doesn't leave me with that warm and fuzzy feeling that my plate carrier is going to be alright and not only taken around but for everyday use, whether that's a quality control problem from their factory or just a genuine feature of their price point. That's on them, I want no part in it. Now the affordability and accessibility factor. These Yakeda carriers are absolutely everywhere on Russian eBay and Russian Amazon. The internet is absolutely loaded with them and they're super easy to get. Every single hunting or fishing shop will stock them, and at a very good price too, anywhere from 5,000 to 9,000 rubles. That's around $40 to $80 US. And obviously that's without Kevlar or plates. They're also highly adjustable to most sizes that you can ask for. Why not a Western plate carrier, you ask? Well, the problem is, unfortunately, there just isn't that many circulating in Russia. There's definitely a premium price tag set on them. Even simple rucksacks like the Warrior Assault System X300 will have cheap replicas listed up as originals. Same goes for the huge amounts of LBT 6094 styled replicas. If you generally have a Yakeda vest, hit us up with a comment down below and tell us what it's been like for you. We are very interested. Did this ever happen in the West? Well, kind of. During the War on Terror, the brand Condor was seen as a cheap alternative to the premium pricing, with some soldiers actually swearing by Condor equipment. But it was generally regarded as a mixed bag in terms of equipment quality. Overall, what can be said from the short video on the Russian use of cheap Chinese plate carriers, especially the Yakeda? The Russian military's ongoing shortages in personal protective equipment have led to a small-scale adaptation of cheaper, more commercially available alternatives, like the Yakeda. With official supply chains struggling due to sanctions and bottlenecks, it represents a practical solution for units forced to self-equip, offering a cheap balance of protection, customization through the MOLLE system, and relatively durable materials for the overall price of it. It is essentially a stopgap for protective measures for less privileged formations battling in both material shortages and on difficult parts of the front. Its presence is less so a testament to it being the best gear available, and more a symptom of systemic supply and production failures amongst Russia's military-industrial complex. If you want us to do an actual physical review on the Yakeda, let us know. We can grab one and do some endurance tests on it. We do have a Warrior Assault Systems versus SSO Ars Armour comparison video in the works, so it'll be nice to test a different price point along with them all. Hit the like button if that's something you might be interested in. Now, just a quick update on the website for you, and we will get to the giveaway. We've been having some supply issues as of recent. If you haven't, I'd recommend reading up on our website blog, which gets updated every Monday for the full details. We've basically got rid of our pre-order system to avoid any letdowns for future orders and are moving to a purely physical stock-only system. You get the items you want faster, we send it off faster. Everyone wins. But thank you for your continued support we've had, and we appreciate every single part of it. This has been our first year of operations, and I'm sure our second year will go even better. Now, on to the giveaway. We're long overdue on the uploads. Sorry, that's my fault. We haven't done a giveaway in a while, so one lucky winner will be announced next video to win a Soviet Army enlisted leather belt and a Paladin multicam patch as pictured. Brasso isn't included, so you'll have to shine that belt yourself. All you need to do is subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below, and we will do the draw in the next video. And don't forget to check out paladinmilitarysupply.com. Have a nice day.